You didn't stop because you're lazy. And you didn't stop because you're bad at languages. And you didn't stop because Croatian is too hard or because you're too old or because you just don't have the talent for it. You stopped because something in the process failed you and nobody told you that. So you assumed the failure was yours. So let me try and explain to you what actually happened. The most common reason adults stop learning Croatian or any language is a mismatch between expectation and reality. So, not mismatch in effort, a mismatch in understanding what the process actually looks like. Most people begin with an implicit assumption that progress in language learning is linear. That if you study consistently, you will improve consistently. And that after 3 months, you will be noticeably better than after 1 month. And after 6 months, noticeably better than after 3. This is not how language acquisition works. Language learning has a plateau. Well, actually, it has many, and it has many long ones. Those are periods where you are doing everything right. You're listening and studying and practicing and feeling nothing. No improvement, no breakthrough. Just the same level of confusion you had 3 weeks ago. These plateaus are not signs that you've stopped learning. They are signs that your brain is consolidating. It's processing. It's building connections before the surface that have not yet become visible in your output. The progress is happening, you just can't see it yet. But nobody told you this. So when the plateau came, you interpreted it as failure and you stopped. The second reason is method mismatch. Most Croatian learning resources, apps, and textbooks and traditional courses are built around explicit grammar instructions. You learn the cases, you learn the conjugations, you drill the paradigms, and you pass the exercise, and then you try to have a conversation and nothing comes out. Now, this is not because you didn't study hard enough. It's because explicit grammar knowledge and the ability to use language fluently are two different things. They're stored differently in the brain and they're accessed differently in real time. You can know every rule of Croatian grammar and still freeze completely when someone speaks to you at natural speed. The method promised fluency and delivered knowledge. Those are not the same thing. And when the gap between what you expected and what you got became too large, you stopped. The third reason is the feedback problem. In the early stages of learning Croatian, progress is visible. You learn your first words, your first phrases, your first sentences. You can measure it, you can feel it, and it is genuinely exciting. And then you reach intermediate level and suddenly progress becomes invisible. You already know enough to have basic conversations, but not enough to have real ones. You understand some things, but miss crucial words. You can read slowly, but not quickly enough to enjoy it. You are in what researchers call the intermediate plateau, and it is where most adult learners stop. Not because progress stops, but because feedback stops. Because you can no longer easily measure how far you've come. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be suddenly feels enormous. So what do you do with this? First, you recalibrate your expectations. Not downward, but sideways. You stop measuring progress by fluency and start measuring it by comprehension. Can you understand more than you could 3 months ago? Even slightly more. If you do, that's progress. So that is the right metric at that stage. Second, you change what you measure. Instead of asking, can I speak Croatian, which is a binary question with a discouraging answer at most stages, you ask, what can I understand today that I couldn't understand before? And comprehension grows faster than production. Comprehension, however, is where fluency begins. Third, you forgive the method that failed you. It wasn't designed badly out of malice. It was designed for a different goal. And now you know enough to choose differently. So you didn't stop because you couldn't do it. You stopped because nobody gave you an accurate map of the territory. Because the path looked like failure when it was actually just the middle of the journey. And because the process is harder and stranger and longer than anyone told you. And also more possible than you currently believe. The real reason you stopped is that you needed better information. Well, now you have it. Vidimo se sljedeći tjedan.